I'm Dan O'Connor of HydroArmor Systems, and I'm here to talk about basement waterproofing and structural issues that you might have with your foundation. Now, what the hell am I doing standing out in the middle of a field? This is where it all begins. Many people believe the water comes from your yard, your downspouts, your grading. These enhance or add to the problem that you have, but they're not the cause. Whenever it rains, the water does not go down into the earth and disappear forever. The earth has different layers in it. This field has different layers in it. Topsoils, sands, and then you have a harder soil. It could be rock, shale, or clay. This would be your topsoil, and then you have a sand and a clay. Water percolates down through the topsoils until it hits a harder soil, which has peaks and valleys. The water will accumulate in a valley, and if that level of earth is pitched, now you get an underground artery, capillary, or vein that runs underground. The water is going somewhere. To a brook, a stream, a river, to the ocean, becomes humidity, goes up into the atmosphere, and then falls down as rain again. The earth recycles her water.
The water cycle is dynamic. It describes the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the surface of the earth, and the transitions from one state to another.
Water is nearly always moving in the soil, and it can be in any direction simultaneously. Water moves more quickly through the large open macropores found in sandy soils than the smaller pores of silt, or the much smaller flat-shaped micropores in dense clay soils. Restricted soil layers of compacted soil are among the reasons water moves laterally. Capillary action, the attraction of water into soil pores, can move water in any direction. Gravity is the primary water-moving force in saturated soils, while capillary actions are the primary forces in unsaturated soil.
Eventually, the water will return to the ocean and streams and rivers.
That's a brief explanation of what a soil scientist calls saturated hydraulic conductivity, the capacity of a soil to transmit water.
If you look around your neighborhood, somewhere nearby, there is a brook, a stream, a river, or a body of water. That's where the water is flowing. And if you have water in your basement, your foundation is in the way. Imagine your neighborhood as this empty field before anything was built. A builder came along, put in some roads, built some houses. Whenever a builder builds a house, he digs a hole, severed the layers, the water would pour out, fall to the bottom, hit that footer, water seeks its own level. It's gonna work its way all the way around the house, then build up. Even though the home has been backfilled for 30 or 50 or 100 years, the earth in here is just a loose soil. This earth has been here since the beginning of time. The water will still come out, will still fall to the bottom, and it will work its way all the way around your house, and it will still build up. Many people might say, well, we didn't have water for 30 years because water has acid in it. Foundation might last for a certain amount of years, then it will get water. Concrete block, cinder block corrodes. How does that happen? To make cement, you take a limestone, you cook a limestone, you crush a limestone, you get a powder, and you get a dust. The dust was sold to farmers because lime is a natural neutralizer of acid. The farmers would put it on the soil, it would neutralize the acid, and the vegetables will grow. To make cement, you take 1 part of the powder and 3 parts of common sand. You mix that together and you get a very weak mixture. But if you take a third of the lime dust, add that to the mixture, that's what gives it the strength to hold it together. When you get acid water, it causes a reaction with the lime and the cement. The lime begins to leach out. The more that leaches out, the weaker the original mixtures become. The water builds up out here. The acid will break down this original tar. Block is porous. The water is going to start to penetrate inside of the wall, falls down into that hollow core, builds up in the hollow core, goes to the next, to the next, to the next, all the way around. Then you get hydrostatic pressure inside of the walls. Concrete block, cinder block corrodes, becomes soft. As it corrodes over the years, you get little pinholes. The water's inside these blocks. The little pinholes allow the water to start coming inside. The bottom of the walls become soft. The water comes in and up inside of the house. So now, not only do you have water, but you have water and mud. The weight of that water and the mud cause lateral pressure, which cause horizontal cracks. In the wintertime, when that water rises up above the frost line, it freezes. When water freezes, it expands. The earth that's been there since the beginning of time is not going anywhere. The foundation will. Any kind of horizontal crack just grows. Lateral pressure just push this wall in. Now, this is the part of the wall I'm going to repair. Down here, I'm going to replace. This is a structural repair that will prevent this from ever happening. When When the clay levels do not get enough water, they dry up. The clays underground crack. The next time it rains, water finds a new path. Water is always changing directions based on times of great water or times of drought. Another cause is somewhere in your neighborhood or somewhere nearby or somewhere off in the distance, somebody built something, disturbed the way the water flows, and now it's coming to your house. Opening up a job today, we're going to pull apart a real original French drain. Now everybody thinks that gaps are a French drain, or this is a French drain, or that's a French drain. There's only one real French drain designed by Mr. French. That's why it's called that. These are clay pipe. What he did was dug out a trench, lay his clay pipe end to end. He leaves a gap at the end of the pipe. The pipe runs right along the footer. The footer is level. The pipe is level. There is no such thing as a pitch. He puts stone in there that's larger than the gap. It's not about the pipe. A true drainage system is about the trench. The trench has got to be wide enough to give the water into the trench and rise up into the trench. On Mr. French's drain would rise up and it would get in those openings and the water would have a clear path to run to a sump pump. He would put stone on top. The purpose of the stone is you got to put the concrete floor back. Concrete floor has to sit on something, so it's got to sit on stone. Water gets into the trench, rises up in the trench, gets into the pipe. All the pipe is a void in the stone, which allows water to pass through rapidly. This was how it was done. The only way it was done. Now what happened in Washington, D.C., the law is no building can be built any higher than the Washington Monument. So of course, everybody built below grade. There was so much water, Mr. French's drain wasn't working. Who are you going to call in Washington, D.C. to fix the problem? You call the United States Army Corps of Engineers. That's who invented the system that I installed. It's called mirror drain and ADS pipe. ADS pipe is designed to replace clay pipe. United States Army Corps of Engineers designed it. There's nothing better. It worked then, it works now. Washington, D.C. would be completely underwater if not for the kind of system I installed. We do what are called weep holes on an old style French drain. There's no such thing as weep holes. And we use the mirror drain, and that's what advanced the system so that Washington can have no water, okay? That's a real French drain. And that video is worth $1 million. There's really no such thing as a French drain anymore. It is a pressure relief system. The trench needs to be 10 inches beyond the footer, dug to the bottom of the footer. This is a trench. You're roughly right there at 16 inches. 6 inches for the footer, 10 inches beyond the footer. That's what a proper trench looks like. I get a lot of questions about pitch on pipe. This is a footer. This footer is level at the bottom. The trench is dug out level to the bottom. The pipe is laid in level to the bottom. ADS pipe is a plastic wall with holes in it to keep the stones out but allow water in. If you dig your trench to the bottom of the footer and you put your pipe down at the bottom of the footer, there isn't going to be any water. The pipe will be in this trench surrounded by stone. The pipe creates a void in the stone. Water rises up, gets right into the pipe, and it creates a void for the water to flow rapidly to the pumps. The water was up here. Now that there's a trench to the bottom of the footer, all of the water drains to the sump pump pits. This is a lot of debris to carry out of a home or off of a job. And that's why guys cut corners. They don't want to do this much work. Everyone thought this building can't be fixed. Let me show you why. This is a false floor. Can you see this concrete down here? This was the original floor. They put a layer of cinder in here, and then they put another floor over the top of it. This is a long way to dig for your common contractor. I've got this dug down to the bottom of the footer. Once I get the pumps in here and the crops, they're going to be below this. All this water's going to drain. This place will never have a problem. Get the weep holes in there, we'll drain the walls, get the system in here, and we'll be out of here. It's sometimes jobs are not easy. You got to go the extra mile. This is where the system needs to be. We're in another basement where some other company installed a waterproofing system all wrong. We're here to redo it. I'm going to show you what's wrong. This is where they put their pipe, all the way up here. We dug out the trench to where it's supposed to be, and there's where the water is. This is the footer. This is the pipe that they installed. The pipe
is above the footer. This is the PVC pipe here. There's the water. This is why trenches need to be dug out and the pipe has to be placed at the bottom of the footer. This is your footer. This is where the water is. And this is where I put my system. Okay? Box system. This is the box system. Up here, on top of the footer. There's the water. When it does rain, this water rises all the way up in the entire basement. All the way up to here. And this concrete will be wet or damp below any carpet before it can even get to where the box system is, all the way up on top of this footer. Water down here, box system up there. Here's the pipe up here. Water is down there. When you install a 3-inch pipe, PVC, not deep enough, not wide enough, it cannot do its job. This is the width of the trench that was put in. It's about this wide. They didn't go wide enough. They did not go deep enough. This is where they installed their pipe. Down here is where the water is. That's the problem on this job. Water's coming in down here. This is water. There's the water down there. There's the box system up there. This is designed so that the water is supposed to go into here. How's it supposed to get into there? I don't know. Doesn't look like it works very well to me. Box system. Water is down here. Right there is the edge of the footer. This trench has to go down to the bottom of the footer, and the trench has to be dug this wide. This trench is maybe 5 inches beyond the footer. This trench should really be out here, which is double the amount of work. The subcontractor wants to cut corners and get the job done in half the time. Well, he just does half the work. I already know it's not a wide enough trench. The width of this trench may not have been done properly. This trench is not wide enough. It's not enough for the volume of water. This isn't even concrete. What do you got? 3/4 of an inch? That's how you low bid. I'm not saying anything. Okay. This is plastic. This is like PVC. There isn't any mold on here. Some of these guys sell you this PVC pipe with this black liner, which is an antimicrobial liner. No mold will grow in it. Mold doesn't grow on plastic. I am certain that when the salesman is in your house, he shows you a certain kind of pipe. This is not what he showed you. This is the type of piping that was installed. This is the type of pipe that the company who did this job told the customer they were getting. This is thin wall PVC, 3-inch. They've stopped the pipe right here, and this is where they've stopped the pipe over here. How can this possibly be a continuous system? Where's the water supposed to flow? The trench was deeper the way it's supposed to be. You'd be able to go underneath this and get a proper flow. Any kind of piping needs to have a way to get into the pump. There's no pipe entering this crock from anywhere. See this here? That's the end of the pipe. Watch. What the hell is that? There's supposed to be piping going into this crock. Where is it? I don't see it. How's it supposed to get into that crock? Contractor will cut corners by using inferior products or components, cutting corners, cutting corners, cutting corners. I haven't even gotten into this job, and I can see that they used a 6-inch piece of mirror drain. They've got 2 inches on the bottom and 4 inches up. Mirror drain is straight up and down. See how it's straight up and down? You see how the just not installed properly? It looks like the job was done properly, but this is not. This is what's called fibrous filter paper. See the dirt buildup in it? It's clogging the filter. It's not allowing the water to get through. Anyone who owns an automobile, your oil filter, gas filter, air filter, they get clogged. Those filters have to be changed out. You can't come in and break up the concrete to change out a filter in one of these systems when it gets clogged. You seen enough yet? I'll find more.
Deep holes have to be drilled into every cell of every block and every mortar joint. As I drill each cell, the water comes out. But the water also comes out of mortar joints where the two blocks come together. The holes are not to the bottom of the block because the bottom of the block can be solid. When you're drilling, you might hit a solid area. You have to stop drilling and raise the drill until the water does come out.
Gee, I just can't understand why I might have water in my basement. Weed poles. My other favorite thing. Oops, they missed the mortar joints. There's no weed pole on the mortar joint. They missed this one. They missed this one. No weed pole in this mortar joint. They did not drill out every cell of every block. Mortar joint have not been drilled out. No weed poles. There is no weed pole. There needs to be one here. There's no weed pole in the mortar joint. No weed pole in the mortar joint. Nothing here. Nothing here. No weed poles in the mortar joint. And you're talking about a pressure relief system. Every weed pole has to be drilled, especially when you've got a wall that's moving. This is the mortar joint. Right here's the mortar joint. Look up here. Water can accumulate in there. So if you don't drill this out, that water can build up all the way up. Alright? Got it? We getting on the same page yet? We got water that comes out of this wall. If the weed poles were done properly, there would be no water in this wall.
That's not cinder block anymore.
What is it?
Your blocks are rotted.
This is cinder, which once upon a time was a cinder block. The weed poles just were not put in properly, and this is what happens when water sits at the bottom of blocks for too long.
Tell people that concrete or cinder block comes apart and they don't really believe you. That's above grade. Nice and firm. And this is below grade. It's like mush.
Company that did this job will not warranty it because they say they don't have a wall warranty. If they did the job properly in the first place, this will not happen. This is a magic wand. I will sell you this magic wand for $1,500 plus shipping. And what you do is you take this magic wand and you tap the wall 3 times. Click your heels once, close your eyes, and repeat after me. In the name of HydroArmor, abracadabra, water be gone. That may sound a little bit silly. Well, if you believe PVC pipe or a box system is going to solve the problem, you might as well believe in the magic wand. And if you believe in the magic wand and you send me $1,500 plus $50 plus shipping, you will only throw away $1,700 because whatever you pay for a PVC system or whatever you pay for a box system, you're just throwing that money away.
When hiring a contractor, if you pay too much, you might lose a little money. But if you pay too little, that contractor that you hire might not be capable of solving the problem properly. If you have a foundation, a basement with moisture, dampness, or just water, the best way to fix it is a pressure relief system. There are a multitude of companies. Every job is $5,000. Every job is $6,000. You can look at this foundation and know, obviously, the owner of the home went cheap. They hired a $5,000 or $6,000 company. Well, you might as well take that $5,000 or $6,000 and throw it in the garbage because a $5,000 or $6,000 company is who did this job. The system that was installed was not a pressure relief system because the walls have come in. This homeowner spent $5,000 and the walls came in. Now there's another $30,000 that has to be put in to this foundation. When, if somebody had come in here and put a proper pressure relief system in, the walls would never have moved. This is what's called foundation failure. The bottom of the foundation has shifted in. Now, once upon a time, the homeowner had a drainage system put in that should have been a pressure relief system. A pressure relief system will eliminate the pressure on the wall, which has caused the foundation to fail. This existing system is inexpensive, obviously the lowest bidder. On this job, this is called the pressure relief system, which means it is supposed to relieve lateral pressure. When you go with the lowest bidder, I'll show you what happens. This is a horizontal track. The reason it's here is because of lateral pressure that should have been relieved by the system. Now, can I exactly say that the system was installed before this happened? Absolutely. This is how much the wall has moved. You can see that the drain board is against the lower block, 3 inches inward. There's your footer, there's your pipe. Now this is dirt. All they did was break out the concrete for show. And the pipe is 3-inch ADS. Salesman will show you 4-inch ADS. It looks like the same, but it's not.
it's cheaper. And they dug a little narrow trench just to put the pipe in, which is why the system will never work. Had this system been installed properly, this would never happen. This is a $27,000 repair job now. That could have been prevented when the system was originally done. If you have a horizontal crack and a bowed wall, some of the applications are foundation anchors, carbon fiber strips, wall pins, and I-beams. A foundation anchor is a plate that's installed in the ground several feet away from the foundation. They run a bolt through your foundation, and there's a plate put on with a bolt that tightens it down and prevents it from moving. With a frost line, the freezing and thawing moves the earth. And so if you were to put a foundation anchor outside where there is a frost line, it will move. And every now and then you got to go down and tighten the bolt. If you intend on using carbon fiber strips, well, there you go. See the bottom of this wall? The bottom of the wall came in. A carbon fiber strip would have went to the floor. The only thing that would have held this would be whatever kind of glue they got on here. Now there are two other applications. One is a wall pin and the other is an I-beam. A wall pin, you take our 5/8 rebar down inside of this hole to the bottom of this cell. Then you would take the same size, and it goes all the way up the top. They're wired together. Then gets filled with 5,000 PSI concrete. It's a solid beam. This concrete will eventually go back, and there's no way that the bottom of this wall can ever come in. Put a carbon fiber strip to the footer, which is here, it will snap, and that wall will come in. Now wall pins would be used in a mild bow. I-beams would be used with something more dramatic such as this. If you ever intend on selling the house, leaving the walls with the bow will be picked up by a home inspector, and it's a good chance you'll never sell the house. If you're going to finish the basement, you will have sheetrock in front of it. The wall will be structurally sound. There are two absolute ways of getting this wall back to straight. Number one, you have to raise the house and replace the wall. The second way, I could put this wall back into place and perfectly straight without replacing the wall. Now the cost would be 25–30% less expensive than replacing the whole wall. Before we do anything, we have to brace the wall and make sure it doesn't come in. On the outside, I will dig a relief area. Once we relieve the pressure on the outside, the weight of the house will cause the wall to just come back in place. Before we dug out the foundation, this crack was much larger, and had the wall come in, the house would then be condemned. You wouldn't be able to live here until it was fixed. Primary issue on this job is the bottom of the wall. That has to be pushed over. Once I push the wall back into place, I will install wall pins inside of the wall that will permanently hold the wall in place. You have to let the concrete inside cure up for several days before you remove any kind of bracing. This is the wall that had the massive bow in it. All right, this is where the crack was. The wall has already been backfilled and tamped, and it hasn't moved. Can't see the crack, so I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Right here, get in real close, right here is the crack. How the bottom of the wall was kicked out, it's nice and flush. And I'm the only person in this industry or any other that does this. If you can find somebody else that does this, well, they've probably seen my videos. That's right. We bet. Now this is the part of the wall I'm going to repair. Down here is what we're going to replace. This is a structural repair job. See how big this crack is? Remember the size of that crack? Wall is now back in place. Never even know the crack was there. But once you've had a collapsed foundation, wall is back. Now the home is structurally sound. If you do a job like this and you don't lift the weight of the house up, when you try to pull the wall out, the whole wall could fall in, the house could fall down, and everybody dies. When a foundation fails, Township comes to your house, and this is what they do for you. This building is declared unsafe for human occupancy. They will shut your electricity off, put a plug in your sewer. You'll have to move out. That happened 10 weeks ago. 10 weeks ago, I came out and I gave an estimate. Price was $34.5. Customer asked me, how can I come up with a price? I don't know what needs to be done. If you do have enough experience, you can come up with a price because you know precisely what needs to be done. This customer got 7 more estimates. You do that to yourself, your head's going to be spinning. You're not going to know what to believe, which is why for many, many years, I have been doing videos. I educate. One day I got the permit, November 14th, 2012. And the approval, November 15th, 2012. A day, permit, approval. Next day, you're back in. Or you can get as many estimates as you like. When you do an outside excavation job or you're going to replace a wall, the hole that you dig has got to be safe so that it doesn't cave in on. House has to be properly supported. Over here you have the gas pulling away from the wall. We've got this supported here. When you do a job like this, safety has always got to come first. If a company was hired that wanted to just come in and wham bam, get the wall out, get the wall in, somebody might have gotten killed. Had the chimney fallen, hit that gas line, the house would have blown up and everybody dies. Keep that in mind when shopping for the lowest bidder. There's many combinations of what kind of job we want to do on the outside. We'll put a drainage system on the outside. It can be gravity fed, or put an outside exterior pump, or under the footer into a sump pump on the inside. If there's no drainage system on the outside, I absolutely recommend a pressure relief system be put on the inside, along the inside of the wall. If you look at how we finish the walls, now that is a 20 mil plastic reinforced. It comes in 12 foot by 100 foot lengths. No water can ever penetrate it. That plastic will be there forever. Now as you can see, we've got HydroDog supervising. He still doesn't know how to operate a machine. Exterior waterproofing system. You have to excavate to the bottom of the footer. This is the footer. This wall would then be power washed. What I apply is 12 foot by 100 foot rolls of 20 mil reinforced rubber, continuous, without seams, around this foundation from the top of the grade all the way over this footer. I'll lay down a bed of 3/4 inch crushed stone, then ADS perforated pipe, and generally I'll put 3 rows of 4 inch or 2 rows of 6 inch. After that, over it and around it, 2 inch crushed stone, roughly about 2 feet. Now, there are idiots out there that will say the ADS pipe will be crushed. When you put stone all the way around the piping, the weight is distributed among the stone. Next time you have a party and you get a bunch of your buddies that all have beer strength, give them an egg, put it in the palm of their hand, and ask to try and crush that egg. You cannot, because as you try to crush it, the pressure is distributed around the entire shell. If you have stone around your pipe, it cannot be crushed. Now, we'll put stone to a 2 foot level, and we use 2 inch because 2 inch has larger crevices in it. Then I would put filter fabric, then I'm going to backfill, and you're going to get water in the piping. There are 3 ways of getting rid of the water. You could have an exterior pump. You can also take the water and bring it underneath your footer and have some pumps inside. The third way is a gravity feed. Because I've got the lake around the back, the piping is going to be gravity fed to the lake. This is the entry. Whatever's here has to go. Anything that you have around your house has to go. Another system is done from the inside. What you need to do on the interior is what's called a pressure relief system. A third the cost of this. On this job, the foundation is imploding. Homeowner had several estimates, $40,000, $50,000 to replace the foundation. I opened the outside and put the walls back into place. Then installed wall pins. A wall pin goes inside the cells, filled solid with concrete, and there's no way that that wall can ever move. Now, when I do a structural repair such as that, we have fixed the result. Now I want to fix the cause. I will always want to put a pressure relief system in so that I can be 100% confident that not only has the result been fixed, but the cause also. Now, I'm opening up the outside to push the walls back, and I'm doing an interior system. While I have the outside opened up, I'm also going to do an exterior waterproofing system. So this customer is getting an exterior system, an interior system, and the walls put back in place and more structurally sound than when the building was first built, and if they were to replace the foundation. So this customer is getting all 3. It's a $30,000 job. Outside excavation, an interior pressure relief system, walls put back for a fraction the cost of replacing the foundation. Now, the dust was sold to farmers because lime dust, HydroDog is making a mess. Visualize if we had rain the outside and you have the inside. Look around. And if you've got horizontal cracks, that is what's causing the lateral pressure. And HydroDog just took a piss. You did an exterior system.
Hydrostatic pressure is the weight of the water. Has the result been fixed, but the cause also? Since when the building was built new. Me and Hydro Dog are still on the job. Whenever you do an outside job, you're going to destroy the yard. Most of the time, you don't have to go that drastic, but on this job, we got nothing but sand, so basically I had to tier it so that I don't kill my guys. If it were to rain, that falls in, this falls in, this falls in, everybody would have been safe. We got plenty of room down there. It'll be a little dangerous, and it can collapse, and me, the machine, and Hydro Dog could be down in the ditch. Originally, when the house was built, they put in a PVC pipe that goes through the footer because the back of the house was sinking. There are helicoils on the right-hand side, and we also put an underpin on the inside, so that corner of the house is not going to move anymore. We've got not a rolled-on tar, not a sprayed-on tar. This is a troweled on, basically, roofing cement. I could give it a fancy name like poly something or other. The guys who installed a 20 mil fiberglass reinforced rubber is actually seamless. He's hungry and he's tired. Working on his job all day long. He wants to go home and go to bed. This is one continuous sheet. It goes from grade down over the footer and across the bottom of the trench. By doing it in this way, any water is going to be caught by this rubber, making it absolutely impossible for water to get to the footer or get under the footer. You have your ADS pipe in here, surrounded with 3/4 crushed stone, which diffuses or distributes the weight, so this pipe cannot be crushed. Once I put the 1.5-inch stone down, and then I backfill everything, I can give you a warranty that will cover no water penetrating for the entire time that you own the home, and it will be transferable to the next owner for the time that they own the home. I've done thousands of jobs, all with that warranty. On a weekend, I like to hang out at home, work in my backyard, have a couple of beers, smoke some cigars. My phone doesn't ring when it rains with bazillions of service calls. We don't even have a service department. My systems work. I make absolutely certain that my systems work. Nothing fails. When it comes to mold, we have all these toxic molds. Why didn't we have it 100 years ago? Earth recycles water. Humidity goes up into the atmosphere, adheres to a dust particle, and then rains. Water gets inside of the walls. When water doesn't move, it stagnates. In stagnant water, you get bacteria. Mold feeds off of bacteria. Mold is a live organism. It multiplies. Everyone has forgotten about the Industrial Revolution of the 20th century. Smog, air pollution, humidity adheres to those, brings down these toxic particles. These toxic particles, high in acid, get inside of your wall. They stagnate. Toxic bacteria grows. Right now, there's harmless mold outside. Every time that you walk in and out of your house, you're bringing mold in and out. Common mold can get into the base. If you have bacteria high in toxin, the mold will begin to feed off of that. That mold will produce other mold spores. Those mold spores will have toxins. You get various strains of toxic mold. Most people don't spend very much time in the basement. There are people who have finished basements who spend a lot of time in the basement, and they will start to get irritated eyes, runny nose, headache, coughing, dizziness, drowsy, might even get forgetful what toxins are. If someone takes their automobile, parks it in their garage, closes the door with the car running, first they start to get a runny nose, itchy eyes, sore throat, coughing, they get a little drowsy, they pass out, and they die. Mold in the basement high in toxins is not so dramatic. People who have finished basements, who spend a lot of time in the basement, they might start to discover these things that they have. Today we're starting a job whereby the homeowner purchased the home and just recently moved in 4 months ago. The previous homeowner has said there's never been any water here. Nice living room, room here, bathroom, laundry room. Now you see this? That's mold. Back here, I'm gonna lift up the carpet. Now look at that. See this tackless? It's wet. Look at the floor. It's wet. Look at the molding. This is mold. This didn't just get this way with the rusty nail and the wet tackless if this house never had any water. And it didn't happen in 4 months. The water comes out from under. This padding is soaking wet. How about the mold? See this right here? This is mold. There's mold under this floor. Was there mold here before? Mold spores in the air. Now we just took the floor up in this room. I'm already getting a headache. I'm a little bit short of breath. The floor is damp. Now let me just... This is mold. These are water stains. This didn't just get here. Mold. That's a line where the molding was. Does it mean that the mold didn't grow up here? Or was the mold cleaned up to the molding? The mold smell that's coming out of here. I can't even get my face in there. What do we got? That's behind the sheetrock. This wall was cleaned off. And this is what you got in the back. The sheetrock is soaked. If I could show the two little kids live in this house. Mrs. or Mr. Seller took their lives and their health and just didn't give a shit. This place had water. This is a first-time homeowner. They're a young couple. They come from an apartment. They have children. They want a nice house for their kids to grow up in. And you give them this. Never had water? Bullshit. You see that? That's mold. How would you like somebody to do this to you? That's mold. Look at mold. Floors are wet. They're all wet. They're all wet. You see down here, this is all wet. This is what happens to your finished basement when you don't consider the waterproofing first. And you know what? If the price puts you out of your budget for finishing a basement, well, you've got less money in your budget for finishing a basement. This floor is damp. It happens to be raining today. This is Hydro, dog. Hot water right here. You got a bathroom here. Just pull this sill out, soak them wet, and all this is mold. Pipes are not leaking, toilet's not leaking. Go over to the trench. Got water that's coming up underneath the footer. We haven't drilled any weep holes. We don't want to fill up this trench. We haven't put a pump in yet. This is clay pipe, an original French drain. Builder knew that had water. So if you're a seller, allow the purchaser to pick the contractor, because when the seller takes care of a problem, the purchaser has further problems. If you are a seller, it will cost you less if you do the right thing. You get to walk away with peace of mind. If I ever come out and I give you an estimate and you got stuff like this and I say to you, you know, you got mold, you're one of those know-it-all type people, oh, you ain't got no mold, and you don't get your job fixed, and then start going to the doctors because you got headaches and the sinuses, and they do this test on you and that test on you, and sooner or later the doctor does tell you that you are susceptible to mold, and they'll ask you, do you have any mold in your house? And you might say, that guy from HydroArmor said that. We better get it fixed. But you know what? You won't call me. You wouldn't want me to know that you were wrong. And then of course you risk getting one of those other nitwit companies in there, but good luck to you.
What we have here is failure to communicate. You're in a finished basement. Doesn't look bad. If you look down the end there, it doesn't look bad. Right here, I'm starting to take the sheetrock apart. You look at the back of this. Mold. Mold is all behind the sheetrock. Behind here, it's all mold. Mold.
Any mold spore that can survive that deserves to live. Daniel O'Connor of HydroArmor Systems, and I want to thank you for choosing my company. The basement waterproofing and structural repair. For many years I've been making videos to educate my customers about the hows and whys of basement waterproofing and structural repair, but also to expose the nonsense in this industry. How other companies can cut corners and other systems that just don't work. I want to thank you again for contacting HydroArmor Systems and look forward to providing you with an estimate.